Alright guys, full transparency here. I was that guy running around with Claymores, but what's going on guys in the works? And yes, for some reason I got inspired the other day when I was playing to put on Claymores, to put on DMRs and sort of do my Battlefield 1 loadout with single shot weapons and Claymores. And I was just running around having fun, but if you can remember how annoying Claymores were in Battlefield 3, they really weren't that bad in Battlefield 4. Like nobody really uses them, and it made me wonder, do they suck? Is the reason that nobody uses them just because they're not worth using? Do you even get any kills on it? I mean, you see us playing on Parasol Storm here, and Parasol Storm is a pretty good map. I actually sort of like this map. It can be a little frustrating on Rush, which you see us doing here, but I wasn't taking this very seriously. I was just here having fun, running around, doing my thing. But it got me to thinking, if I could change one thing about Battlefield 1 coming from Battlefield 4, what would it be? And I would have to say, hands down, if it wants to be better, the first area they can look is map design. And it's so simple. I think if I sat back and looked at all the complaints I ever had about this game, or even Battlefield 3 had some shortcomings, it was map design. And you see we were on Parasol Storm there. It's a very trench-oriented map. I actually thought it was well designed, but then you look at maps like this, which I consider to be very popular, considering that if you go onto a lot of servers nowadays, this is one of the main maps you'll see in the rotation. Like most people are playing on Railway, just because it's a wide open map and it's really good for vehicles. But I don't think it's a particularly well designed map. I think that it has some really good elements, but in true DICE fashion, I think the biggest shortcomings on a lot of the map designs is they went to too many extremes. You either have maps that are really spread out like this, or you have maps like Operation Metro and Locker. I mean, everybody knows the horrors of Battlefield 4 Locker when it first came out. Explosives everywhere. And I don't have to remind you about Operation Metro. We liked it because it was ridiculous. I mean, let's face it, it was one of the most popular maps. Does that mean it was a good map? Maybe not. I mean, people just like to sit there and mindlessly chuck grenades down hallways sometimes. I mean, sometimes that's how you need to relieve some stress, blow some people up. But when it comes down to the actual map design, actually having fun playing on certain maps, I don't think that, maps like this work, because 64 players, it always turns into like cat and mouse, especially on Conquest. You're trying to find one person capping the flag. The points are so big that sometimes it just gets really frustrating. I mean, you get caught off guard a lot, and I guess that's just the element of playing any game, is getting caught off guard, being aware of your surroundings. But it almost takes the excitement out of the game. Like, you're constantly like worried that you're just going to get picked off by some random person that spawned over there in the corner. And I tried to pre-fire right there. Full disclosure, I am using a new mouse in this video. I'm actually trying out a Corsair mouse for the first time. Still trying to get it down. You can see I'm missing some really easy shots there, and I was kicking myself. But I left it in there just to show you that new mouse is a big deal. Like it's almost like, I don't know, it's like your main tool when you're a gamer, and getting a new one, there's that period of adjustment. And I was struggling pretty hard with it, but I do like the mouse. I just need to get my DPI settings where I like them. But anyways, I went off on a tangent a little bit there. Map design is in essence everything about a first-person shooter. It's where you're going to live for the next 2 years, assuming it's on a 2-year cycle. So you need them to sort of stand the test of time. And I think that if Battlefield 1 wants to be successful, they need to look at having a good variety of maps that don't go on each extreme. I mean, it's pretty simple. And there's going to be no shortcoming of lush environments they can go to. There's going to be Africa, you can go to Europe. I'm really looking forward to like the French maps. I'm sure they can come up with some cool stuff for stuff like that. I'm sure we're going to have our typical like trench warfare type maps. So there's going to be a lot of variety and things that they can pull from. And I don't doubt DICE that they're going to make beautiful maps. I think that they've always chosen their themes really well. I think that their textures and just overall, the way the maps look have always been great. But, less like wide open areas where you can just get absolutely destroyed, I would really appreciate that. And we're moving into a map which I consider to be a great example of a good map. This is my favorite map in Battlefield 4. That's mostly my opinion. I know some people knock it for being a little bit linear. I don't really feel that way because I feel like good vehicle teams can get behind you on Conquest. You know what I like about it is the terrain, the variety. You know, you got the warehouse in the center, you got the buildings up front, you've got the radio tower on the far side opposite of where I'm at right now. There's a lot of different things that you can do on this map, and the way the terrain sort of works, you've got a lot of cover points. And that's what I like in Battlefield, is having good cover points. I think that's why I like Nose Hair Canals Rush so much, just because, you know, it was a little bit frustrating on the first objective, but once you got past that, it was fun. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that in Battlefield 3, I loved Rush. It was my favorite game mode. 70 to 80% of my gameplay came on Rush. Some Conquest mixed in there. I didn't really play a lot of the other stuff, but in Battlefield 4, it was a complete 180. All I played was Conquest, and that was just because I did not like Rush in Battlefield 4, and that's mainly due to map design, and I do think that was its biggest shortcoming of this game. And a lot of people have pointed out in my past videos that, you know, the reason they don't want to give Battlefield 4 another chance is just because they didn't enjoy the maps. And, you know, I totally see that. I understand why people feel that way, but I think if they want to improve on Battlefield 4 going into Battlefield 1, they need to take a hard look at the way they sort of approach maps. Give us cover, give us terrain, give us elevation. That's the things I appreciate in maps. And I'm cutting into some Final Stand DLC gameplay because I wanted to point something out. You know, some of the vanilla maps, yeah, they weren't as good. But if you played a lot of the DLC, they introduced some maps which I consider to be quite good. That has a lot to do with DICE LA, who was working on these maps. Which leads me to think, you know, we should feel pretty positive going into Battlefield 1, considering that they're probably going to be a bigger part in helping design the maps. And I think that's a positive. I don't think they can, you know, having a split team work directly on maps like DICE did might be a smart decision. You know, I'm not a game designer. I don't, you know, try to understand the business side of things. But I think that if you look at some of the way the DLCs played out, I think Battlefield 4 had good DLC. I do think there were some gimmicks that they sort of introduced in some of the DLCs that kind of made me scratch my head, but for the most part, I thought the maps were pretty solid. It just too bad that it reached a point where I was kind of getting frustrated with Battlefield 4 as a whole. I didn't play them as much as I probably would have liked to have. But with all that being said, what do you guys think? Do you think that map design is the biggest thing they can improve upon in Battlefield 1? I'm sure there's tons of stuff that we could sit here and talk about, but you know, playing with Claymores, it kind of opened my eyes because I was thinking about just how different the map design was in Battlefield 4 and how I would love to see them improve upon that in Battlefield 1. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Just a quick little rambling of my thoughts. I thought it was a pretty interesting topic leading up to the reveal next week, so I'm pretty pumped for it. Hopefully you guys too, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.